This is the Levels Network. I'm Justin Horo, joined by the Triple OG, Willie Mason, who has played in a couple of preliminary finals. OG, we've talked a little bit about finals time up until this point. I want to talk about your preliminary final against the Panthers, the team that won the competition the year before. And for you guys to go into the grand final, how brutal that was, mate. Because I remember that's a game that really stands out. When I think about the Dogs of War, your era, that game stands out, mate. That was brutal. Can you see anything like that happening this week?
Different generations, right? But same intensity. You know, it was pretty wild back then. It was always fair against Penrith. They're big bodies and they just play hard. Show three front door mentality with skill set in their halves, out wide. They were dangerous, man. So speak to my my partner in crime, Mark O'Mealy, arguably one of the hardest blokes to play the game, reckons that was the hardest game he's played in.
Oh, wow.
So that tells you how hard that game was.
Is that the OG Sonny Bill on Joel Clinton?
Yeah, on Joel Clinton. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Rennie scoring. Rennie will tell you this. I think he's told us a couple of times. I remember when he scored, and I knew that broke Penrith. That broke him, and it was just put us about 12 points ahead with about, I think, 15 to go. And back then, that's huge. I think 12 or 14. I'm not sure, but Rennie scored under the post. Magnificent one individual try. I was like, you just got to sit in the grand final, kid. And like, I've been bumping on that door for about 2 or 3 years. So I was just like, I was that pumped. But that was one of the hardest games because Pricey got injured in the first fucking 10 minutes, did his MCL. So that just rearranged the whole pack, right? So we had a sort of, in today's game, I'd be it was Ogre, Pricey, and me as the middle.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I was that third sort of middle. So it pushed me up to the front, put Rennie on.
Where did Grimaldi play then?
Tony Grimaldi played lock.
Defended in the middle?
Just defended in the middle. But we're very interchangeable. I could defend a right edge, a left edge, and in the middle, right? Yep. So depending where, and attack both sides of the ruck. Like usually if we're coming out of yardage, just attack wherever you want.
So did you go wherever you deemed a spot to be?
Yeah, wherever the spot was. Like if me and Sonny Bill were on at the same time, we would attack like a left three.
Like a double shape?
Yeah, double shape inside and out, or the other side, or through the middle. That's how we were coached, right? It wasn't just you guys stick here, you guys do this, and you guys do that. It's like everyone had a particular skill set. And it was pretty high, and it was pretty good. So you trusted those guys. Even guys like Ogre, like you want to rush up on Ogre, he's just going to tip it on. You had that real mad, like, because everyone's opinion of Ogre or perception is like he's just this hard dude, just wants to take contact on. You shoot out from 3-man, he's either going to try and hit you or he'll pass. It's up to him. He's got the brain and he's got the skill set to pass. Big boy just loves contact.
I want to go back to you and Sonny there. As the game has progressed, you have certain styles, and we live in a copycat league. That's a really good tactic that I think more teams should use. So why, if, for example, in normal attacking shape, you've got Willie Mason on the right and Sonny Bill Williams on the left, and then you guys would pair up together.
And then chuck the right prop like Roy Asatasi or something at the right edge.
Sit him on the edge,
hold the edge.
Grab a middle. So I'm trying to use an example of probably the two best back rows I could think of right now that are playing on the weekend. So let's go.
I look at a guy like Nas who's playing in the middle, and if I get in the red zone, I want him and Katoa hitting on their left edge, inside and out of the 3-man. Just when they're getting good ball, or outside money, him and Blaw.
Yep.
Like I would use Nas like that because he knows he's shown everyone that he can play in the back row and he loves playing out wide.
Yep.
He can do what he wants, 80 metres back that way. But once you get into that red zone, I want that big boy. Not what is he doing other than like just standing around running trying to run a decoy, and then Harry Grant comes out. Unless it's one of those plays, I need him out there.
Yeah, so
especially if you're from the post, right in the middle of the post.
Get Josh King to lay a pose. Get Jerome Hughes to have double shape with Nelson Asafa Solomona and Ali Katoa inside Kiri.
That's all. And it's hard, especially when you've got good ball players like Money.
Yep.
Or if you're at the black dot and you had Josh King running a beautiful line, trying to get markers engaged a little bit, and so Harry Grant's so good at that, he'll come out, he'll beat the markers a bit.
Yep.
The A and markers are engaged. Jerome
Middles
Hughes out the back, straight to Money. Nas inside, Blaw outside. Out the back.
So you can do it on the left against Sandon Smith as well.
You can have the 7 come from the open to the bang to the short side straight away. And they just move. Teams just move and see really good teams like Penrith, and that's why this game will be so elite. The prelim teams, they can move the ball. They will see that person or They'll see it like a 5-5 split, or the fullback go back to that side.
Yep.
Okay, where do we spot up here?
Yep.
Go that way. It's so like you could really
for sure. I love it.
Add a couple of little bows, right? Like when you get down there and you need to strike. When you've got guys like Nas and it's 10 meters out, bro. He's going to fucking score mostly if he's one-on-one. All he's looking for, and all I'd be looking for if I was coach, is to get big, nasty one-on-one down the line. He's pretty much unstoppable.
Yep. And especially if you pair him up. I'm thinking about some other examples too next year moving forward, right? How about if you're the Cowboys and you've got the system playing through the middle? Love that too, by the way. Just right, you've got the system playing through the middle. You've got Lukey on one edge, Jeremiah and I on the other edge. Yeah. And then you deem one half in particular to be a spot in the game.
Which always is.
Wherever there was, swap Nanai over to the left with Lukey and a little bit of double shape, or vice versa.
Yeah. And Taumalola can hold that. Taumalola can hold that right edge.
I probably want I want the system on the left because he's going to hold shape for you. Jace through the middle, get that quick play the ball.
Yeah. Or Jace, because you have to account for the decoy runner that's coming outside, starting outside A and then breaking late. So he has to be accounted for, Taumalola. You can cheat a little bit and just if you got the system running there, you could just go, you're not really going to count for him that much, and you could just shoot out and rely on your markers to get him. The A can go, but you can't when you got big Nas there, and you can't when you got Taumalola.
Don't sleep on the system though.
I know he's going to get better, but when we had a balanced team, like you had like your O'Mealy's, Price, Mason, Asatasi, Sonny Bill.
Yeah, your team was too stacked.
It was very stacked everywhere. And then you had guys like Tony Grimaldi and that. Like Tony Grimaldi he slept on. The amount of work that he did, we're not winning a comp without Tony Grimaldi. He knew his role, man. He would touch the ball, just say if he knew I had to get the ball or Sonny had to get the ball, boom, boom, first receiver, bang, right? Just not even trying to dig into the line. Early ball. Shifty would control that side and we'd all be around just sort of like just doing our own thing, just trying to get to spots or just make plays. Everything was play. Then he'd do 60 tackles on his fucking for a joke. And I'd like all of us, we weren't built like that, right? Like you want 50, 60 minutes out of me, that's fucking front load the whole thing, ogre front load. Then you're going to get a lobby of Andrew Ryan.
Yep.
Like Andrew Ryan was an elite back row for years, right? But he could play 80 on that left edge. You know?
He's like Hindy, as like he started off a really strong edge back row, but then he become at the back end of his career became like a real workhorse.
Bobcat could play both edges, and middle because we had to have someone staying on the left, right?
Yeah.
And he had such a good combination with Braith and Willie Tonga and Matt Utai, which was great. And all of us just used to do. There was no game plan. We just used to play,
just rock up
fitness,
wherever you found a spot.
Go as hard as you can at training. Get to we'd just do extras running inside, outside of the 3-man.
Yep.
Outside in, drop plays, a couple of little plays that we wanted to go and perfect.
And back then you didn't even have the little variation. Well, it wasn't really as common, but you could do the Adam Fanor Blake where he gets a back row and then he just goes
a little bit
out the back. Instead of running the double shape, just do the little little block.
Come out the back.
Like imagine if you guys had that shape back in the day too.
And it was just, it was a fun time to play because folks, he didn't put any pressure on us as like players. He just knew that he had a pretty good side and just let us play football. You can't tell Sonny Bill to hang on an edge. I would hate it if Sonny Bill just got caught on a left edge. It doesn't cross the middle, the black dot. He's dangerous everywhere because he can step off his right foot, off his left. You know what I mean? Rennie Matua, I don't want him staying on an edge. Don't put me on an edge. Don't put Roy on an edge or Ogre. We can go through the middle and spread out. So a lot of these teams can really take out. I look at Penrith as the most balanced pack, right? They can play anywhere. They just got the best system, right? And same as Melbourne. But all these other teams, they just copycat world. You know, they copycat. They just try and do what they're doing.
Got stuff, a question about my grand final experience. And when you talk about Sonny, he killed us through the middle. He didn't kill us on our edge. He went through the middle and he floated over to the left.
Able to do that as a great player. Great forwards can play on edges and in the middles.
Yeah, he just did whatever he wanted in that game in the end, and it served them well.
But you had him for a while. Chalky had him.
We did a good job. It was
Fozzie. And then, but that's the thing. Can you handle it for 80?
Well, he realised
guys like him. No, with guys like him.
Yeah, but he realised he wasn't having joy on that edge, and he had the nous and the versatility to just go, fuck it, I'll just go through the middle.
That's the beauty of those those guys like Sam Burgess and Sonny Bill, right? Yep. They could just play in the middle and they could play on an edge. They can beat you 3 different ways.
All right, let's get into the show. I want to let everyone know that our partners here at Levels have BC Cans and 7-Eleven. You've seen the video already. The great acting from Terry Torres and Benicio Del Horo, and we've got a question, and someone a little bit later on refers to Benicio Del Horo. He's not happy with me as well.
What?
But let's get into. We have our Levels Golf Day next week, and we are proudly supported by our man Darren Kemp from Grumpy Coffee. By the way, it is the best concept. He does such a good job of these advertising, mate.
He's so good.
Using the Bash Bros, and we seen the first clip that they used. It was almost a little bit. What's the example? It almost felt a little bit Pulp Fiction-y.
I like that
clip. It was so good. And then
greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, it's like Terry Torres.
Terry Torres is knocking doors down.
Knocking the door. The other day, he had the boys sitting in the backyard in a new clip, just real simple and effective. They're just sitting down reading the paper. Reading the back page too, sports. Of course. They're not reading the front.
Mate, nothing good on the front.
Reading the back page, I thought that was a giggle as well. So Kempy has a competition running for the golf day next week. We're 1 week out. Like I've been saying for a while, I've been putting a lot of effort to this, and I'm really...
good work, Oz.
I guess, what's the word? You can tell when you do things like this with the people that support you. We've got a really strong community with what we're doing. Yeah. Like we've got Kempy getting involved.
It's great that these other guys that are really popular podcasts now, everyone's helping each other. No one's sitting there like hating on someone. You can't hate.
It's good.
Silky, you'd be a Silky Johnson in the podcast. Johnson, you'll have no friends.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, you're true. You can't be a Silky Johnson in the podcast game. So Kempy's on board, obviously with Grumpy Coffee. So he's supplying coffee for everyone at the golf day on the house. He's going to have a cart there.
Do you reckon anyone will be drinking it?
Yeah, in the morning, 6:30. So we've got a 7:30.
What?
7:30 arrival, 8:30 shotgun start. You need to be there for the drinks cart.
What are we going to do on Wednesday?
So you are on the drinks cart with Ren Daddy.
Me and Rennie Matul be getting an Uber out there.
And then what else was I going to say there? So he's got a competition running as well. So he has his 2 spots available. Kempy's not a golfer, so what he's going to do is for his audience, he's running a competition. To play with a hybrid Brisbane team, which involves Adam Reynolds and Jermaine Asako. You beat him for a highest point scorer too. Thank you, really good group, both Reynolds and Asako. So one, if you love your footy, a really good group. 2 really good players, and both 2 really good golfers as well. So a really good competition that Kempy's running on behalf of Grumpy Coffee. Grumpy Coffee sells whole beans, ground coffee, and pods at Grumpy Coffee. It is a premium coffee with the highest quality beans.
Where can you get them at?
You can find them at grumpycoffee.com.au. So go and support our man Kempy, who is supporting us at Levels. We also have the Hello Sports boys rocking up on the day. We have the RLPA. We've had a great connection with the RLPA. Our man Clint Newton, Tommy Simons, Jamie Pura, Tinarel Arona will be there on behalf of the RLPA as well. So we're a proper footy community, and stoked to have them involved on the day as well. I tell you who builds our community. It's the listeners. It's people watching us right now. Guys, 29.2K. The target of 30K is nearly there. We need 800 more. Tell your friends, tell your family.
Come on.
We have, 11 days? 11 days to the grand final. That was the target to get the 30K. Give us a push. 40K on Instagram to get to 50K and 74.6. Leave us a review on Apple and Spotify as well, because you guys are a huge part of our show, and you know that, and there are some more than others, and we've got a couple in here who are repeat offenders in the best possible way. They come and build out our show, and that's why I think a lot of people feel like they are a part of the Levels.
Well, they are. They're a big part.
So let's get to this. Let's start with the Sharks fans, and the Sharks weren't happy with me, and a few people tossed up a couple of reasons.
I think you've been very diplomatic, apart from your comment at the start, right? You said they weren't going to make the 8.
At the end. That was my last point. My last point was...
What was this, last year? When did you say that?
No,
when you said like...
No, I think the point that frustrated the Sharks fans the most is when I said they didn't turn up because they were hammered by the Storm, and they probably predicted that they would be hammered by the Panthers instead.
Yeah, I can see why they're upset. Yeah. But I understand your perspective as well.
Okay.
So I'm like, I see both sides. But if you're a diehard Sharks, they are not seeing that.
Okay, I've got some diehard Sharks fans.
Probably hard.
Let's kick it off with Jay Woods. Jay would not. Nobody was not attending the game as a protest, guys. The stadium home ground situation has always been that way. The trains got cancelled due to strikes and people couldn't get out there. Jay Woods, we talked about that on the show. There were buses that replaced the trains very early in the day, and they quickly got on top of that. So that was not a drama. And I seen a number of people rolling in the precincts because I did radio that afternoon. So I seen Sharks fans coming through on buses. So that's not an excuse. But he also said, love you, Scope, but we played a Queensland team against a prelim at the same time next door for half the price. That is a valid point. 2 Sydney teams would have sold it out like they did Saturday.
Yeah. I agree on that. It's the North Queensland part that.
Okay,
really,
so do you think?
I think if it's Manly or anyone like that, even you're talking about 2 teams that traditionally don't travel. If that's Manly and Cronulla, you're probably getting 30 plus. Yeah. I'm looking at more than that.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think they would have got 40 like the Roosters and Manly?
No, because the Roosters really turn up for those games.
I think 30's a good number.
I think 32 would have got it. I reckon because. Friday night game, everyone's coming in, public transport, all that sort of stuff. You know, like it wasn't one of those games you're just gonna, pack up plan your whole weekend around. Got to go to the Sharks game, unless you're a diehard, which is probably 15,000 diehards. They rocked up.
I understood a number of factors that went into it, but still, because it was a do or die final, I wanted the floor. Like the part that I was disappointed was I wasn't expecting 40, but I thought both teams could have got to 25. I thought that was realistic.
I think 30. I thought 30. Yeah. Like there's got to be 30,000 Shark supporters in Sydney.
This one's from Shy Smokes Barbecue, who writes in all the time. He's an L1 for sure. Okay, he's up on the Sharks fans, Benicio Del Horo. Not everyone works close to home. It makes sense to play their game on a Friday. Surely they should make it either 2 Saturday games, which would allow more people to arrive there from work, Saturday or a Saturday, Sunday. Swans really one half team for the AFL. So that's another factor because Swans are one of 2 teams in Sydney.
40,000 plus members, man.
Yeah,
they've been averaging. I mean, probably more. I think more Swans fans.
That's a legitimate excuse.
Legit excuse.
Yep.
It's the
Swannies played at their very own home ground too. They played SCG all the time. So
can't we have a Sunday game, man?
Yeah,
for
the Sharks fans,
Sunday Arvo, like it's at Allianz, is like shit that you dream of as a kid. Man, when I was younger, and probably that was just my generation looking at the Winfield Cup, which was played in a day game, the semi-finals, the prelims, all day games. So my mindset was like, I want to do that, right? And then once we started playing the day games on a Sunday, that was magnificent. That was awesome. But they used to pack it out, man.
I love Sunday.
The SFS was packed, and it was like you're talking 40,000, Bulldogs, Roosters, Bulldogs, Panthers, couple of games that I remember playing Melbourne. Yeah, man, they were awesome.
Let me just close on this down, Sharks fans, just to close it off. Would you have been happy? Because I just wanted the floor to be 25. I didn't expect 40, but I wanted the floor. So that's why I was disappointed in the crowd. Just under 20. Well, apparently it was reported 20, but Jimmy Smith was there and he didn't.
I looked at it. It was
didn't feel like his 20.
It was like a Roosters home game.
Yeah.
And they're not big.
No, they didn't play the Roosters.
I'm just saying it looked like a Roosters home game.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
it ain't big. That's 15 and under.
Yep.
That's what they average.
Yep. Are you sure? I reckon there'll be more than that this year. With they used to average that, but the new Allianz,
maybe.
Yeah, I think, and the team's
ain't cheap at Allianz.
Yeah.
You got to have the eastern suburbs fucking paycheck coming in.
That's true. This one is from Flamin Jamin. It looks like the organisers have agreed to push the England versus Samoa series back a week at Samoa's request, as too many of their players will be attending Stephen Crichton's wedding.
That's crazy.
So we're about to get to chat about Kalyn. I think a lot of people have been discussing this at length. Well, I've got some points off the back of this. I love what Samoa have done in this instance, and for me, this is a clear indication. Well, not a clear indication. That's probably unfair. I think there's a high possibility that maybe the Samoan players have said, like, we're not going to play if we can't celebrate Stephen. And I don't want to completely put that out there without any. That's just a gut feeling, right?
What if he just wanted a rest?
And that's a factor. But like Stephen Crichton has obviously organised this wedding. This series was not. The Pacific Cup was not confirmed until I would say
4 weeks ago.
In between maybe 2 months, maybe 6 weeks ago, right? So I can understand the pushback from players going, look, we'd organised this. There was no communication around the Pacific Cup. I think there is some tweaking that needs to be done.
But they're not in the Pacific Cup, are they?
No, they're not, right?
Yeah,
but they're the same.
Travelling to the north of England.
The north of England. But I believe it was announced very close to within each other. So my gut feeling, and this is only a gut feeling, sorry, I can't back this up. This is just my gut feeling. I'm putting it out there, that it was almost to the English and Samoan, what would you call them? The federations. That, hey guys, like,
we need a team.
Respectfully to this series, like, we are doing the wedding. Like, you move this, otherwise you're just not going to have
You're not going to have a team.
Yeah.
Like,
you're not going to have your star players.
They're the team.
Yeah.
Critter's the team. Luai's the team. Lenyu's the team.
To'o.
Fuck, that is the
Spencer
team.
Leniu.
I mean, I get it. But I mean, I'm glad that they've done this.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm glad that they've done this and looked at the players, and they understand how important Critter's wedding is to the players, to everybody involved, to his wife, everything, future wife. It's a very important day. It's the most important day of his life. So they respect that, and they've come back to the boys and said, "All right, we'll move the dates."
Outside of,
I think it's very. You got to commend whoever is behind this.
Yep.
And give him a big rap, and we'll never know, but well done.
We'll never know, but that's just a gut feeling anyway. Damien Kearns wrote this one off the back of our chat around the halves situation. Munster's out for Australia, boys. It was announced weeks ago. Him and Cleary are both booked for surgery. Damien, I think that's a rumour. I don't think that has been announced. A lot of people perceive that to be the case, and I did as well. I haven't had a chat to Cam about this. Everyone knows that, I've got a relationship with Cam. Me just watching games recently, he looks like he is not at full fitness.
Looks super fine.
He looks good. And he looks surprisingly good, because I remember chatting to him all the way back around Origin, when we went down to Origin, and he was like, not only...
He wasn't... Yeah, when you played golf with him that morning?
Yeah.
He wasn't that pumped. Like, he didn't think he was going to be back like this.
Well, there was serious doubt whether he was going to play at all.
Yeah, let alone this. What he's doing it.
Yeah, so there was genuine grey area. That's my point. So there's genuine grey area about even playing for Melbourne, let alone playing for Australia at the end of the year. Will those possibly could those two guys get surgery? Yes, that is a possibility. I haven't seen anywhere confirmed that it is 100% that those two guys are both getting surgery.
That's what the teams are going to put out. The team doctors will put that out there just to stop any sort of rumours like playing. You know what I mean? It's just to take care.
Yeah,
just to look after the narrative on this. Like you say, you don't end up like fucking KP. He could have done this a totally different way.
We'll get to that in a bit, but I don't think there's ever been anything like that to begin. I could be wrong. Damien, if you've got a link where you've seen that 100%.
Well, they should be booked. They probably should be in.
There's a high probability.
The NRL used Cleary on the poster.
Yeah, well, so Lukey's saying that
they can do that. They own our IP. They can use this wherever they want, whenever. I've been used on someone didn't play.
Yeah, but Lukey's point is they're using Nathan on the poster. They perceive him to be fit and playing in it. So that's a conversation which we'll get to in a bit with the Kalyn situation. Damien Kearns, again, he's another guy that's highly... he communicates a lot in the levels chat as well. Goes back and forth with some people, gets some real arguments on there as well. I believe he's a Storm fan. Crim Tams, what do you think about the Knights? This one's from Crim Tams. Boys, what do you think about the Knights going after Pezzett? Surely he's a reasonable price, and he spent some quality time in a quality system down there in Melbourne.
I don't hate it. I know his father was working up there.
Yep.
Really? He was up there when I was there, so he's got an affiliation with Newcastle.
Would he have grown up in Newcastle, Jonah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that would be a good fit. Because when I saw Pez, like the father, I was like, "See your boy down in Melbourne."
Yep.
He goes, "Yeah, the little kid that I saw 10 years ago."
Is this old man Troy?
Troy Pezzett.
Did he played at Parramatta?
Played Newcastle.
I think he might have even played with my dad, like
Roosters,
around my dad's
somewhere.
era.
Yeah, he's got about 10 on me.
Yeah.
He would have played at the back end of your old man.
Yeah, he might have.
So Pez, he's got an affiliation there and a connection there with Newcastle. So that would make sense for me. Because I think I met his kid when he was fucking 10, something like that, when I was at Newcastle, 2013-14. So that would make sense. I'm not sure how long he can do his apprenticeship down there. Like he's sort of proved himself, come back from some injuries. I think now it's time to sort of, all right, have a good conversation with Belly. Am I ready? Could you let me go? Bang, sign with Newcastle.
Okay.
He could be the answer.
Lukey's just sending. We'll keep going on that.
He could be Allen Iverson.
Troy Pezzett. So
Troy
he's born at Gosford and raised in Newcastle.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Troy Pezzett. Yep. We didn't need Wikipedia, Lukey.
Come on, mate.
Mace
We
has
don't
had,
need,
Mace has had all that in his head.
Chat GBT's in his head.
Yeah, it's a real tough one for him and Farlongo.
They have to go, mate. Because how many years you reckon Money and Jerome Hughes has got left?
Money's going to be around.
3 or 4? Just say 3 or 4 max, right? And you got Pez, who's probably 22, maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe younger. So he's coming into he needs to be playing regular first grade.
If you were a young half with the opportunity, so Jerome Hughes is 29 and just about to turn 30.
So he's got another 4 or 5 years.
And our man, Cam, the money man,
30. 29?
He just turned 30, I believe.
Yeah.
Because he had his daughter recently.
Yep.
And
So
his 30th
just
birthday.
say 4 years max they've got left.
And let's look at Ryan Pappenhausen.
27.
Is 28, I reckon. 28.
28? No.
26. Holy shit.
Yeah. That's what I
Pappy's-
think I Googled him one night. I was thinking he was at that age as well, and I said he's fucking young.
Man, Pappy is still got
So what do you do if you're Pez? The young kid.
Oh, 2 30-year-old halves. A chance to play with Kalyn Ponga. Just say, for example, if he does, like if this is a genuine conversation. Leaving the system, leaving Bellyache to go to Adam O'Brien. Leaving the Melbourne culture to go to the Newcastle culture. I don't hate the Newcastle team, by the way.
They're a couple of players away from making a big inroad into the final.
I love their vets. They've got good vets in Dane Gagai, Tyson Frizzell. They've got promising they've got
Best,
Jacob Saifidi, I love as a front rower. Got a strike weapon in Bradman Best. I don't hate it.
No, I don't hate it.
I don't
either.
hate it for a young half. Like not only just Chona Pezzett.
Yeah.
And
I think what he's learnt down there and his work ethic and how to approach games, and he showed a little bit of brilliance, and then he had a horrific injury. I think it'd be a good fit. If I was Newcastle, and just his connection with Newcastle, that's what it is.
Yeah. That would be super appealing.
He's a Newy boy. I know what it's like. So you want to come back home. So I think Newcastle should really, because there's not that many good players on the market. Everyone's go get a halfback. Where? Who? They're all done.
I got you.
So I think just
want me to go
what
through
you
the
said.
list? So Jonah Pezzett's on there. So outside of a couple of vets, which probably wouldn't be appealing to the Newcastle Knights right now, because you've got Daly Cherry Evans, Ben Hunt, Adam Reynolds, all available as of November 1 too, by the way. A couple of more appealing options. Obviously, Sam Walker, we expect him to stay at the Roosters, but you've said there is grey area around that. He would be a target. Braden Trindle is another one.
Is he off?
Braden Trindle's off at November 1. Daniel Atkinson is a huge question mark for a few teams that they'd consider at the moment.
Okay.
And
Did you get 2?
And Lockie Ilias is probably further down the list, but a guy I still think.
You're just
Lockie
going after
Ilias-
one, are we? We're going after Newcastle's going after one. We think the other one's set, the 5'8" set down there, up there.
Depends on the money you pay. So just say if
Yeah.
I paid really top tier money, we go back and forth
Yeah.
on this all the time. I could play gamble at 6 with a proper half.
Yeah.
Or Cogger, whoever beats each other out on it. But if you had to pay top tier money to get one of these guys, and you could pay like $300 to fucking a Gamble or a Cogger, then I think that would be the ideal.
Well, they've got Cogger and Gamble there, right? So just play it out. Let him go rep for rep in the preseason. Surely you've seen enough of Gamble. You've seen enough of Cogger. Cogger's playing reserve grade, right?
Would it only be Cogger?
He'd end up playing in the first team at the end of the year, but he spent 10 games there.
Yeah,
Not through injury.
I think the way that Cogger finished, I think they're going to give him.
Yeah,
first
I
grade.
would look at that and go, okay, well, he looks like a 5'8" now.
I think there are only 2 players on this list that they would consider going. Well, if I was running Newcastle, there was only 2 players I'd consider. The one we're talking about, Jonah Pezzett, and take a gamble on him, Tyson, and see if he can pair with Tyson. Or the other one is obviously Sam Walker.
That's it.
That's the. I wouldn't be
dancing with Trindle or anyone like that.
Oh, Trindle's another one.
I need to see another couple of years out of him.
Man, he's been around for 5 years.
Yeah, but he hasn't played that minutes. He hasn't played consistent first grade for 5 years. He's been around for about 2. I've seen just nearly enough now. Another year, and then I'm bang. All right, he's my man.
Okay, I'm going to change it. No, because I'm going to change. I've seen enough. I'm going to go Sam Walker 1 priority, Braden Trindle 2, and then if I couldn't get either of those 2, then I'd go Braden Trindle. Jonah Pezzett. Okay. That's where I'm at on it anyway.
You can get Pez pretty cheap, I reckon.
Pardon?
You get Pez pretty cheap at the moment.
Yeah, I think you could get Pezzett.
Under
To
500.
leave the system though. That's what you could consider. He would take unders to stay at Melbourne, I reckon. He would.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I like this.
This one, I love hypotheticals.
Yeah, I mean, this is for his career, Pez. He can't sign another 2-3 year deal there and be like in and out of first grade. This is coming into his prime. I know they don't reach it till they're over 25, but he needs to be playing regular first grade.
What if he re-signs and then someone throws a shitload of money at Jerome Hughes and they just can't turn it
Yeah,
down?
it's fucked.
Yeah. We'll see.
It could happen. That could easily happen.
Yeah, that's another hypothetical. Sam Rogers, gents, well done with the podcast. Love the authenticity and the honesty. Question for the big fella Horo. I've always wondered, do you look back at the 2013 grand final with fond memories? Pride, sense of accomplishment, career highlight. Manly played one of the best games for a losing team in recent memory. DCE, best on ground. Massive momentum swing, huge hits, unreal crowd. You're a part of history. How do you look back on it? Beers on me when you're at the Royal Paddington for bringing up shit chat. Cheers.
Love it.
Real talk on this.
Yeah, give me some.
Real talk. Like deep down, just purely footy, I would have preferred not to have played in a grand final and lost. The hurt and the amount of time it sort of takes you, like I still think about like certain moments, stuff that I could have done better, plays, moments in the game. It still like annoys the shit out of me, and I don't think I would have had that if I'd only got to a preliminary final. So to get there, hurt. In saying that, now with what I'm doing on the podcast, because I didn't play rep footy, it's definitely something that I can talk about life after footy as an experience and almost like
Surely, it's a great experience.
In a negative and positive way, whatever way you view it. It has been beneficial in the sense life after footy and what I'm doing now, because I've actually got.
It's called experience.
I can't tell you what it's like to play in Origin. I can't tell you what it's like to play international footy, but I do know what it was like for grand final week. So
and,
therefore,
and then you can go, Nelly, we could have been fucking winners and we lose. You know what I mean? Shit like that.
Winner.
You know what I mean? Just all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And that's life experience. And that's why we can sit here and we can give people a lot of like little nuggets here and there, because it's life. You know, you don't want to be one of those guys. I didn't play in a grand final. You got to experience that shit because you could fucking win it. You never look at it like that. I'd rather not play it in than lose it. Shut up.
It sucks to never.
Just sucks. I know. It would, but fuck it is. You got to experience it. You got to experience running out the whole week, leading it, having a feeling of fuck, we could do this.
It was cool.
Yeah, that's cool because that feeling of what you did have for like 10 minutes, that's what it's fucking like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
10 minutes after half.
Yeah.
Fucking, I thought,
you know what I mean? You thought you were going to win. That's what I'm
final.
saying. But that's what it's like when you do fucking win. It's that feeling of what you had, that little 10 minutes you get encapsulate and like.
You've had it for 10 years.
You just have it for ages, right? You know, it just never goes away.
And again, I got perspective on that. So I can't really look back on it with
nothing. Don't look back on it as a negative.
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, for sure. Liam McDonald says, time to talk yourselves up a little, fellas, which we don't do already. Which current team do you think would benefit the most from having each of you in your prime playing for them next year? So I want you to insert yourself into a team, 2004 Clive Churchill winning Willie Mason, in a team that needs. I don't want to put you in Penrith because that's too unfair. I don't want to put you in Melbourne because I think that's unfair as well.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to necessarily put yourself in the two teams like the Roosters or the Sharks if you don't want to. What's one team where you think you'd put yourself into and go, we can compete with the big dogs? Because that's what you'd be. And I would be more like the Roosters. I would be more Melbourne and Penrith. Because
let's think about it. We'll have a look at what the team that I love the most now. What do they need? What does the Bulldogs need?
Alpha in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd slot straight into that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that yet. I was just like, what does that team need? They just
I
need
love that.
some dude that's sitting right here in his prime. That would be great to play with those players, you know? Like, I mean, like the mentality, getting coached by Serraldo, getting, you know, Phil Gould's at the helm, you know, the whole club's going great. Like, that would be my team if I could come back right now and get coached by, I think, arguably one of the best coaches and best brains in the comp, and play with that club now and just be that guy that could swing him to that next level.
I love that. I wasn't expecting that for a response. I thought maybe, you know, like a team like the Roosters with some stars, but you're right. You got alphas there through the middle.
Yeah.
The one thing the Bulldogs are missing to take that next step is an alpha like you. So I love that one.
Yeah.
And I don't like. For me, my best year was 2013 because I was on fuck all money and I played my best year when I was around, supported by a really good supporting cast. So my best year, you're getting me when I'm coming to Manly after I've been dropped from a Parramatta team and my salary basically cut in half. So putting me into a team like Penrith,
You'd be like fucking gun.
yeah, because
Left side, back row.
because they can afford to pay me minimum wage, and they've got so many star players that are on big money. They've got to find bargain price players. And I
Look
think
at Luke Garner.
I think I could do a Luke Garner.
could do-
role.
yeah.
That would be my example. I think I could. I rate Luke Garner. I think he's a good
Yeah, I think
player.
he's good. He runs really good holes. He does
Yeah.
his job. He's a good team man.
Yeah.
I've always had a big fucking rating on him.
And his situation
Just
is
need to
similar
find
to
his-
mine, right?
yeah.
Come from Tigers, was sort of
praise
was
over
in a
there.
team that was struggling in and out, like up and down form, and then goes to the Panthers and goes really good and plays real
He just
solid.
needs, if he plays consistent footy, I thought he was going to be a future rep player, but a few injuries here and there just derailed his sort of his career a little bit. But he's won a comp and he's sort of fucking killing it now.
All right, let's move on to the biggest story of the week. Kalyn Ponga is facing an NRL ban after being deemed disrespectful after calls were exposed around the Kangaroos selection. So the NRL and Kangaroos coach Mel Meninga are filthy. This has been reported too, by the way. I don't think I've seen anything from Mel just yet with Kalyn Ponga's decision to make himself unavailable for Australia. And the NRL are on the verge of sanctioning the Knight superstar who could miss games next season off the back of this.
These new rules?
The NRL's, apparently it's always been there. The NRL's rules state that the players must make themselves available for representative games unless they are injured, which Ponga is not. Nine's Danny Wilder is reporting that the NRL are discussing the possibility of banning Kalyn from games next year after his decision. So I've got a couple of things off the back of this, right? So let's start off.
I didn't know you had to be available.
I didn't know that either.
That's the thing. I don't think Kalyn Ponga knew that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done this. He would have fucking somehow, like, injuries, fucking, he's got a lot of head knocks, everything. Like, he could have fucking easily got away with this.
Yeah,
Come on, man. He wouldn't have known. He's just gone, he did an interview and said, yeah, I'm not going to play. I don't know.
No, so from what I believe is that he communicated it through Newcastle, and I think Newcastle were made aware. Apparently, Newcastle were all made aware that he was a part of a 30-man squad that was going to be trimmed down. So
he was going to be in the team.
after he was, that was communicated to him, I believe he'd turned it down. So when you listen to what Kalyn's, everyone, I think across the board for the most part, everyone, once they heard Kalyn's decision, the majority of people were like, I love the decision from Kalyn. So you factor in a couple of things. You talked about the head knock history. So Kalyn, only last year, he sought medical advice and went overseas to figure out troubles that he was having with the head knocks. Now, he's had a really good season, touch wood. We talked about Luke Keary before. He had some problems a couple of years ago, touch wood. He's in a really good place. Don't get me wrong. But when you play a season like they've played this year, and then at the back end of the season, once you've had a couple of weeks rest, you then go up against what we now have as you could argue this New Zealand team is going to be as physical, and no disrespect to Tonga because Tonga are going to be really physical as well. But New Zealand are the current champs, and they're the team that they're expected to beat. They're probably going to have the most physical game against this New Zealand team that he's probably had all year, right? So you got to consider that. So when you talk about purely the health and the player welfare around a player that has had head knock issues in the past, then I think that's a factor in Kalyn's decision as well.
Totally. I understand from Australia being disappointed because Kalyn Ponga's Kalyn Ponga, right? Him saying no to the Australian jersey diminishes its brand.
That's a part of it.
That's a part of it, right? So I understand from the Australian perspective, the Mel Meninga being pissed off, the media being pissed off, saying whatever. I'm like, but I look at the other side. I want Kalyn Ponga playing for another 6-7 years, and so does Kalyn Ponga, right? So he's looking after his health, and so I'm not sure why we can't see it from his perspective. Like he's a bright young man, right? He's highly respected amongst his peers, and he's putting he knows who butters his bread. He's on
Okay, let's get to that.
1.4 million a year up there. He wants to get in there. He wants to win something up there. He wants to be up there with the Andrew Johns, some of the best players who ever played in that club. And I think he's looking at that. He's looking at a lot of factors where a lot of people are sort of skipping over. Like, that's not. Have a look at what happened in the last couple of years.
I want to get to that.
It's mental.
I've got all this written down because I wanted to make sure we'll be clear on it. So in the past couple of years, Newcastle have had really late runs, like almost 5 games. Win 5 to the last 6 games, go on runs to make the finals. And he, during both of those periods, has missed time. One, for what I talked about before with the HIA.
Yep.
And then this year with a Liz Frank injury.
Yeah.
And you've had a Liz Frank injury before,
You've got to take care of that, mate.
Is that not something that you have to be aware of?
That is 100% something, right?
Yeah.
So he was out for 10, 12 weeks, right? He didn't come good till about the last 4 weeks. And now he's probably, I'm not sure whether he can skip surgery or have something put in there or do something. Like, he's looking after that because those injuries can just come out of nowhere.
Would you still be feeling the effects of
100%.
Liz Frank into the offseason?
100%.
Okay, great. Because I've also got written down, getting that injury as best as possible by not playing in this series gives Kalyn the best opportunity to start the preseason with Newcastle, which he wouldn't have had to have done. And then, therefore, what is the one part that we've been concerned about with Newcastle? It's the spine, right? He's the most important part of the spine. Yeah. So if Newcastle want to do anything next year, they have to get some reps together.
Yeah.
They have. Yeah. At the end of the day, Newcastle pay his salary, and they pay him a really good salary. And for him to put the club first is so admirable. And also, it gives him the best possible chance to work with Cogger, work with Gamble, work with Phoenix Crossland, works with Brayley, whoever it was, because that combination was starting to work at the back end of the season.
Yeah, but he just needs to look after himself. That's it. And he has. And I mean, I know it sucks for the NRL and the ARL and the Aussie jersey, everything that comes with it. But Kalyn's just had a really good think about this, right? It's a big deal.
It is big.
Do you know what I mean? It's a massive deal to give up. Like, he would have debuted for Australia. That's a massive deal. So obviously he's putting his health before anything, and his priorities have changed. And I know that sucks for every die-hard person. I've wore that jersey fucking 30 times. Yep. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nothing prouder than that. So for him to put himself in this position, you've got to understand what he's been going through and the ways he's Liz Frank, the HIAs, everything like that. The pressure on Kalyn Ponga week to week is monumental up there, right? Yeah. He can't walk the streets if he plays a bad game.
If Newcastle lose, it's Kalyn's fault.
Yes.
If Newcastle win, it's Kalyn's fault. All right, we talked about the Australian jersey. Who says he's guaranteed the one jersey, the 14 jersey, or what? So as it currently stands, Teddy is the incumbent and also skipper. A lot of people believe that if fit, Dylan Edwards is going to take that jersey from Teddy. So that's what people believe. Whether that's the case or not, I'm not chatting.
Exactly. So your point, where's Kalyn fit?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
So he also was beaten out for the Queensland jersey in the last 2 years by Reece Walsh. So it's not like Kalyn is leaving the jersey hanging. There are 3 fucking excellent options.
100%.
And I haven't even mentioned Tommy Turbo, who I just assume is going to have some surgery, right? But just say Tommy Turbo decides, all right, I've toughed it through the series. My shoulder is good enough.
I can get 3 more
He's in a different situation than Kalyn, where he goes, my shoulder's a little bit better than Liz Frank. That could be an option as well. But that's 3 pretty good options if Kalyn doesn't play.
That's massive.
Now let's get to the point that's got the NRL frustrated, because I'm like you, I can see it from both sides. Yeah. The NRL are clearly worried about the growth and effects this has on international rugby league, because is this just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
Do they feel like Kalyn has made a decision because we factored in everything that we've just said, but maybe are they looking at, or is there being communicated from other players that are like,
this is too much.
It's too much, right? So when you look at what we've got currently at the moment, we've got a really strong product domestically. Like, our NRL competition is going really good at the moment. I love the way, and got to give credit to PVL and Andrew Abdo and everyone in the NRL.
Product's great.
The product is great at the moment.
Like
every other code that we compete with would just do anything they could to get Origin, to get some sort of form of
Our
Origin.
product is like Blue Magic.
Blue Magic?
Yeah. You seen American Gangster?
No.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I have seen American. Oh, yeah. Sorry, got
It's Blue Magic.
Yeah, gotcha. You threw me off there. I was thinking Magic Round or something like that. I don't know where you're going. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Blue Magic. The Mickey.
Yeah.
Every other code AFL Rugby Union would love to have Origin.
Everyone, man.
But also they don't have it. So therefore those codes don't get through the middle part of the season. Absolute warfare. Players battering themselves pillar to post for 3 games and then being told to turn up and play for Sydney Swans on the weekend, play for Brisbane Lions on the weekend, or play for the Hurricanes after that, or play for the Crusaders or the Waratahs. That doesn't happen in rugby union and AFL.
No one understands that. Unless you've played Origin and had to come back and go play for your club team and then lose an Origin series or win it and then have to come back to your club team in round 19 and then finish the year off and then hopefully you have a big run in the semi-finals and grand final and then get selected for your Australian team and then just do it all again. It's a loop. I did it for 8 years. It's fucking hard. It is hard.
And could you agree that the game is as hard as it's ever been?
It's hard. It's taxing off the field, on the field. There's pressure. There's a lot going on, right?
Yeah. Compared to your time when you played?
We played a lot of games, man, but it was feel like the players really feel pressure these days. The social media, the everything.
Yep,
it's very, very professional. They can't go out. They can't do anything. And I get it, right? And I'm like, unless it's a World Cup year, you're going to have these, right? Everyone wants to play in the World Cup year. And even that, players are sort of getting jaded now.
Good. I've got some compromise coming up.
So I think they just need to really why are we, like specific nations, I get it, right? Like the Australian team, obviously that's the cream of the crop. But they need to tinker with it a little bit to give these superstars some sort of rest.
I've got some compromise at the end.
As I said, you can't do this. Like Cam Smith made that shit look easy. He's the only one that did that for 12, 13 plus years. Everyone has a 7, 8, 7 to 10, and then let's just play club footy.
And so use Cam Smith as an example. Cam Smith is not in a Kalyn Ponga situation as well. Cam Smith is in a really great system. They won games a lot. They didn't have club pressure. He was able to play an Australian series at the end of the year and he would start training in January because the ball was just rolling at Melbourne. Cam Smith, and this is with all due respect to how much I respect all the greats, but Cam Smith specifically, he was so good at club level, at Origin level, that it allowed not as much pressure around him. Whereas Kalyn feels the pressure week in, game out, week in, week out. I'm not saying that Cam didn't, but Kalyn has that at Newcastle, right? They don't have the luxury of being able to
big runs into the semi-finals.
Big runs, winning grand finals. Kalyn hasn't
not much
done
of
that
a break
Newcastle.
in between. So let me just give you a little bit of it's a little bit of a cheat code, right? It's the hardest, but it's somehow the easiest when you can get out, just say Cam Smith, Billy Slater, JT, all those sort of blokes.
Yourself,
you don't come back to train until January, mid-January. So you miss all that work during but you've got to get yourself to that level, right? Then you stay there for I missed about 6 or 7 full pre-seasons, but it's the longevity that you get, right? I know it's hard going, sometimes it's hard, just saying KP's I was never in KP's situation. That people need to understand from his perspective, the HIAs, the Liz Frank thing, everything he needs a rest. So he's clear-minded on it. I was never in that. I didn't need a rest.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I had a couple of mates. Everyone's fit, ready to roll.
Yep.
Don't really want to do full pre-season. Come back in January, repeat.
Yep.
Big runs into the finals, repeat. And then it just goes boom, 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 boom. And then you feel all right because you're not getting that work in between fucking November and late December. That's the hardest shit you can do. Takes years off your career, if you ask me.
So how many weeks break do you reckon you'll get in after a series? Would you get about 6 to 8 weeks?
We'd just say we come home from Kangaroo tour. We're coming home at just say mid-November or late November.
Okay, and then you start back up in January?
Yeah.
So about 2 months off?
Yeah. No, about six weeks. That was the mandatory. And folks would want us back and everything like that. And we'd try and push for more. And he was pretty lenient because we'd come back, take 3 or 4 weeks to get fit and then just go straight into a trial game.
Yep.
One trial, start the season. That's fun. It's
Kalyn doesn't have the luxury of that.
No, he doesn't have the luxury. He doesn't have that luxury, and players don't have that luxury anymore either. So you go on a little bit of a tour, just say the Samoan boys or anything like that. They're still coming back before Christmas.
Good point. All right, let's get to that. Stephen Crichton. What was one thing that we talked about and talked about glowingly with Stephen Crichton? And I've even had a conversation privately with Serrato, but I don't think he'll mind me talking about this. When Ciro said he found out that Critter was going to be captain was when he finished the Samoan Pacific Nations Championship. Yep. He wasn't required until January, but what did Critter do?
Turns up.
3 weeks earlier, before his 2-week break over Christmas and New Year, he come and did the army camp. And that's where the army camp selected him to be the captain, right? So even though you give the players the 6 weeks mandatory after this Pacific Cup tournament.
And even more, so it's 6 weeks minimum, right?
Minimum. Stephen Crichton knew it was way too important for him to start the season with the Bulldogs. So he forwent the extra 3 weeks that he was supposed to get, went to an army camp, not just training session, went to an army camp with the Bulldogs, was then selected from the skipper and then went on to have a great season, right? So that is people can use that for an argument for or against, but Stephen Crichton was only got 3 weeks off. Like that's not enough for these players, right?
No.
So let's go quickly back before we move off. And I understand what the NRL are trying to do, but AFL are killing it domestically. That was one of my main points, but they don't have internationals or union. Union will always be strong internationally, but at that price, the domestic competition is really struggling. So what do we want?
Find a balance, eh?
What do we want from our players in the NRL? Because
Do you remember back in the 90s, only just used to do kangaroo tours every 4 years?
the AFL and rugby union are not expecting this from their players. They're not expecting them to play a 25-week competition, play Origin, and play internationals.
It's the
They're
elites.
just not putting it on their players. So as the NRL, we've got to find some compromise, and that's where we've got to get to.
You know what the compromise is? It's not really going to get there because of the money deal that they did with the TV. Right, that makes you play all these games is because the game is worth so much money, and that's the deal they struck, and that's the deal the RLPA struck. That's the deal the NRL struck, with the TV deal. So it makes all the players play all these games.
Okay,
Otherwise,
so
you would. That's the biggest point. That's the biggest point is the TV deal that we got. It's one of the biggest deals of all time, right? And so the players just have to suck it up. The salary cap's massive. Everything's huge. The money's coming in, blah, blah, blah. So they're just going play.
Yep.
Right? So that's the case. That's as blunt as I can put it in layman's terms. It's all about money. They expect you to do this, and that's why they're blowing up like that. Kalyn Ponga puts bums on seats.
Yep, for sure. That all factors in.
Yeah.
But you got to come up with a compromise. You can't just attack people, whether it be Kalyn's side or the NRL's, and not come up with a compromise.
But I get it just with the NRL. No, sorry. I get it with the NRL, like with the games and everything like that. But like, I think the international games are a total different entity, right? Or is it all coming under the NRL?
No, it's all been brought under the new CBA. It's all under the same umbrella. It's starting to get there with communication between Volandis. Is apparently has really good with the new CBA. They had a lot of communication now with the different governing bodies.
Okay. Give me a compromise.
This is a compromise. This is what we'll get to. I believe they need to get to as an international game. And this will get more players refreshed and ready to go for a Pacific Cup. Just a complete down year from international footy after the Rugby World Cup, Rugby League World Cups. So what I mean by that is zero international games, 0 off seasons. So these elite players at least know that they're putting their body on the line through a regular NRL season. They're playing in Origin. They're going to play every 4 years. They're going to play in a World Cup, but they know the following year they can get a year off. Like they can do fucking holidays with their family. They can go holidays with the boys. Like your holidays as an international, you wouldn't have got to go on footy trips during that time with your players because players who didn't play rep footy, they don't get to.
I paid for a whole trip to Cancun for the whole 2005 team through fines.
But my point is with it, right? If you give the top tier players at least 1 year to refresh, I think they'd be more excited about the following year for a Pacific Cup tournament for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be so much more appealing to them. And then the following year, you're building your squads to get ready for the World Cup. So that's a really important year as well before the World Cup.
Yeah.
But I think after a really strenuous Rugby League World Cup campaign, give the boys the entire year off. And I think you'd get more players because, like I said, I just think this is the tip of the iceberg with Kalyn.
Yeah.
I think there are more players that are in the same boat. Now, people are going to learn from Kalyn's mistakes in the sense.
Not announce it.
Get a doctor's certificate. When you don't want to turn up to work.
He wouldn't have known.
When you don't want to turn up to work, what do? You go see the doctor.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a cough.
Wouldn't believe
hey,
it.
by the way, my shoulder's sore. The doctor, physio said I'm no good.
It's not right.
There will be more players that do that. They'll do go about it a different way. Kalyn was probably a little bit naive to the fact that he
I think he thought it was a big deal. I swear he didn't know. Like, I don't know. We're just speculating here, but like, surely he's a very smart human. He would not have put himself under this much scrutiny, like for nothing. He's just said it out, like, like to Newcastle, it's been handled that way. Yeah, he's not going to play. He's out. I'm like, oof. I didn't know there was stipulations and rules and bullshit like that. You can't drop out.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of players drop out of Kangaroo tours. Not many, but they had legit excuses. Surgery.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. You know what? I sent a really good clip on SEN. Yes, Fletcher was talking about it. So he talked about his sliding doors moment with. 2003, he was asked to play in the Australian team. Chris Anderson, I think
Greatest tour of all time.
Chris Anderson.
Opes was coach. Yeah.
He turned it down because he'd already booked a wedding.
And otherwise he would have been on that tour.
And he never made an Australian team again.
That's right. Because I played with Fletcher 2002, 2 tests, and then 2003 the Anzac test, and then at the end of the year, I never saw him in the rep game.
He never played again.
Then he moved to South, and he was really fucked.
Yeah.
And during that time, right, South 2005, 6, and 7. Yeah, when you're still a dominant player, still a killer.
That's a fair question. So Lukey's question was, what is the difference between Sean Johnson, who's played a full year this year, tentatively saying, it's very hard. It's a hard.
I might play if they need me.
You've got to know what the conversations are like with Stacey.
Different rules too
for New Zealand.
Different rules in the new.
This would be an NRL rule. You've got to make yourself available. So, so it's a good question.
Yeah.
What if?
Because he's retired fully. He said he's retired.
He's still in a contract year.
Yeah,
your last pay goes all the way through till November. Your first pay for a new year starts in November. So, essentially, if the Kiwis said to Sean Johnson,
do you want to play?
No. You're selected, you play.
Yeah, that's there. It's a different
What would Sean Johnson have to do? And if he turned it down, would he be fined? Well, he wouldn't. Look, it wouldn't matter because he's not going to get suspended for games next year anyway.
Man, that'd be funny. That could happen too. That could happen. Stay fit, SJ. Stay fit.
Stay ready.
Stay ready, son.
This is where I think the international game's at. There's got to be some compromise from the NRL. They've got to chat to the RLPA. They've got to chat to the players.
What's the chance of that happening?
I think Peter V'landys.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Just say 2 players. 2 or 3 more players that were going to be in that Australian squad. That's the difference, right? You said before. KP is not guaranteed. Imagine if you get Isaiah Yo. You just say Yo, he goes, I'm or Liam Martin. They're mainstays in that team.
As good as Isaiah Yo and Liam Martin.
Say Teddy. Just say Teddy didn't get dropped from Origin. And he said that. That'd be a massive thing.
As good as Isaiah Yo, Liam Martin and Teddy are, they don't push the needle like Kalyn Ponga, Nathan Cleary, and Cam Munster. I think if there's any chat or those 2 guys end up pulling out now because of the injuries, and it would be, and I'm not holding that against them, I think that's when maybe the NRL will have to come to the party and go, all right, boys, like, what are we do? What are we trying to do here? Are we trying to grow the international game? Which, look, again, like after going through all of this, I'm a proud Kiwi. Like, I never wanted to represent, when I would stay at the start of the year, it was my dream to represent New Zealand as well. And I would have loved to have done that. I would have done anything to wear that jersey. But I'm just being realistic, looking at it from a Kiwi, looking at it from the growth of the Pacific Islands, like what we're telling these guys to do throughout the season, and like what I've presented you guys with what other codes are doing, which you've got to be real. We are competing against AFL and rugby union for the quality product of what we put out there week in, week out. We can't be asking these players to do too much.
A little bit too
much. There has to be a compromise.
Some players can deal with it, some can't. Right? When you've got issues like KP has been going through, his body, like he needs his body. Best abilities, availability. I always tell you that. And it's like he needs that. Some players do need that. Forwards just keep fucking going. Fullbacks, everything like that. But I've never been in that predicament. So I can't even look at this thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'd never give up an Aussie jersey. That's just the way I was. But it was like that, right? You just deal with it. But he's in he's a different kettle of fish.
Would you? Yeah.
I've just never been that. I've never been in that perspective. I can't even like fathom it in my head.
Yep.
But I understand. Right? I totally understand where he's coming from.
All right.
Well, the difference is people don't. They just look at their own perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty balanced argument. Understanding both sides. I do want the international game to be great. I don't see a world where it happens to the level that we're expecting with rugby union, for example, with an origin in the middle, and what we tell our players to do. I just can't see it, and I love it, and I feel sorry for the Kiwi players. I know that there are proud Kiwis out there that will probably be pissed off at me, New Zealand fans, but it's just the reality. Time to move on to the RLPA Players Association dream team for the 2024 season. Do you want to go through the team? Mace, would you go through, are there any changes that you would have had in this team? Fullback, Dylan Edwards.
It'd be on par with Teddy. Teddy would have been. I think Teddy's had a better season than Dylan Edwards, because Dylan Edwards missed 4 or 5 games. Teddy's missed nothing.
I would have gone James Tedesco as well.
Yeah, just off just pure stats and pure like what he's done. Dylan Edwards is a great player, but
I don't think it's
club level. He hasn't been dominant. This is just purely NRL.
Dylan Edwards had its cracking start to the season when Nath missed some footy, and he would have polled a lot of votes during that time.
Yeah. Teddy's the best fullback.
My selection would have been James Tedesco. I don't hate that Dylan Edwards is the fullback though. Wingers Zach Lomax and Brian Toto.
I think Karaz would have had a fair crack at that if Zach Lomax wasn't a wing.
Yeah.
Brian Toto's probably had a down year compared to what he does, but he's still Brian Toto, and he does Brian Toto shit. And it's like, you will look at his stats and go, oh, wow, no wonder he's in there. It's just because he hasn't been absolutely ridiculous. That's fair. I can't complain with that.
Brian Toto's down year is still better than anyone else's best years. Brian Toto, Zach Lomax, I love it.
And Zach Lomax has been ridiculous. He's changed the game.
Yep.
Changed the game.
Centers, Stephen Crichton, Herbie Farnworth.
Don't agree with Herbie. I think he finished the year well.
Yeah.
Surely there's another centre that's had a great year. But then I'm thinking about it going, maybe there isn't because of all our down years. Katoni Staggs had a down year. Who else? Bradman Best injured.
Who's playing in the centres? Isaac
Val Holmes. Val Holmes down year.
Yep.
So
statistically a really good year.
They're the guys that really always put themselves in that centre of the year sort of category. He finished the year great. He had that bit of injury. He had struggled to find some form early on.
Jesse Ramian
should be up there.
Joseph Manu.
Joey Manu's had a down year.
Yep.
But he's gotten injured
Joseph
for like 4 or 5
Swaley.
years. Yeah, so there's I think that's just by like, what's that word? Like there's an asterisk next to it, like just people just been playing shit.
Yeah.
Critter's the best centre in the game.
I think last year we had
it's the Stephen Bradbury of centres. That's what happened.
That's mad disrespectful.
No, I love Herbie. He's one of the best centres in the game, but I'm like,
Knights,
he Bradbury'd
Raiders, Dolphins, Dragons, Broncos, Warriors.
No, every centre's had a down year apart from Critter.
I like it. It's Herbie.
So Herbie, that's what I'm saying. You ask Herbie Farnworth if he's had a fucking great year this year. He'd be filthy.
I reckon he's had 5 excellent games, and it's probably enough.
He's still a top 4 centre.
It's probably enough, right?
Yeah.
For everything that we've just said.
Right.
Stephen Crichton, Herbie Farnworth. 5'8", Jerome Luai.
No problem with that.
No problem. Chance Tommy Dearden would only be my pushback. He would have been.
I think Luai's run through Origin,
Yep.
and when Cleary's out,
Yep.
and he's just proved that he can be the dude.
Yep. Cam Munster, no. Missed too much footy. Luke Keary, no. Braden Trindle, no. Tommy Dearden.
It's probably been his most
Matty
consistent
Burton
year.
would have been thereabouts.
Thereabouts.
Brooksy, yep.
Luai's had his most consistent year.
Yep, I like it. Jerome Luai's my 6 as well. Halfback, Jerome Hughes, big tick.
Easy.
Big tick.
It's only,
Easy.
But have a look who's been out. Cleary.
Yeah,
He's always
Cleary's
going to be
been out.
fighting with Cleary.
This one was contentious. Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett.
Yeah, it's weird. Probably says that Tino's been out. Payne Haas has probably had a down year compared to his stats. He's missed probably 8 games. So you got to vote for consistency as well.
True.
Mitch Barnett's a fucking dog.
Yep.
And Fanua Blake has been a dog all year. So you can't really argue about it when you look at it like that.
I've got one name for you.
Who else can? Yeah,
Joe Tarpany. I would have had Mitch Barnett and Joe Tarpany.
And Joe Tarps has probably had a down year on his stats and everything like that. If you look how damaging he's been for the last 4 years, you look at this year and you go, he's had a bit of a down year.
I disagree on that one.
Yeah,
I think Joseph Tarpany's been a leader for that team, even in a bad
Yes,
team.
I'm just saying but when you set the bar this high, players like me can look at it and go, okay, well he's still dominant.
Yeah.
I expect that from you week in, week out. But those extra sort of stuff when he's line breaking and offload and all that kind of stuff, he wasn't as damaging.
Gotcha.
A few little soft tissue injuries here and there. So these two, they thoroughly deserve.
I would have had Joseph Tarpany over both of them, Mitch Barnett 2, and then Adam 3. That would have been my.
I wouldn't complain with that. Okay. I wouldn't complain if Joe Tarpany was there. I just know that he probably hasn't had his best year in the last 4 years because he set the bar so high.
Hooker Harry Grant.
Oof, jeez. Oh, who else can go against Harry?
Mitch Kenny,
Mitch Kenny, I'd give a shout for.
Reece Robson.
Yeah, both those guys. But Harry's probably had his worst year.
Yeah, so I don't think it's Harry's best year.
No, but he's finished the year off great. He's still shown glimpses of like Harry Grant's the best hooker in the game. But
I'd probably go Robson.
Robson's been the most consistent.
Yep.
I wouldn't argue with Robson was right there because he played. I think are they taking into consideration not Origin? No, it's
players. Players are just voting who they believe and reputation would go a long way in this too.
I think so too.
A lot of people would look at Harry Grant and just go, he's probably killed it. And look, it's the same thing as Brian Tyler and what you're talking about with Joe Tarpany. Yeah, down years, but still probably good enough for a lot of the players to go that they're still the top of.
Yeah, fair enough.
Top of the totem pole. Angus Crichton and Ali Katoa, back rowers.
Yeah, no problem with that. I said that earlier. Liam Martin's been injured for half a year.
Yep.
So that takes him out of consideration because I think he's still one of the best back rowers, right side back rowers in the game.
If I was to pick a back rower right now, I'm picking Liam Martin over all of these guys. Yeah. But this year,
you just can't. You can't when you're not available for 8 to 10 rounds. You're not going to get these little dream teams. So don't have a problem. Ellie Katoa's had a great year.
Agreed. Crichton and Ali Katoa for me as well. Lock Isaiah Yeo.
Yeah.
Paddy Carrigan. Cam Murray.
When you don't make the 8. When you don't make the 8.
Yeah.
And then you're like sort of... But I would not complain if Paddy Carrigan was in there because he played most games, played all Origins. He's an absolute beast for Brisbane. But like Yo, he just does that. He's just so consistent. You know what you're going to get with Isaiah Yo? He's probably one of the most consistent players in the game.
Agreed. Yowie was my pick as well. Impact player, Terrell May. First time we've ever done anything like this. So you have to have played off the bench, I think, more games than you've started.
I'd pick Spencer.
I think Spencer started too many games.
Did he start games?
And then he also missed 6 weeks too with that suspension. Remember?
More, wouldn't it? Was it 8?
Was it 8?
Yeah, it was 8.
Yeah, too many games.
Yeah, I think he had a great year. Finished the year off. It's because he's a young kid, right? Starting this and that, but like his work off the bench, like you can't argue with that. Those stats that he's getting, he's going to be a really good player. He just needs another year, under the coaching over there. So he's going to be a really good player.
All right, mate. You ready to talk some preliminary footy?
Let's get into it.
Let's kick it off. The Storm versus Roosters. This is going to be a doozy tomorrow night. It's Friday, 7:50 p.m. at Amy Park. So no changes to the side that rolled the Sharks in week 1. Suafalongo missed that match due to hamstring injury. He's listed amongst the reserves, mate. Coach Trent Robinson sticks with the same team that downed Manly. Victor Radley is again named to start as he manages that injury. Melbourne Storm are $1.30 favourites. The Sydney Roosters $3.50 underdogs. We all know about the record. The line is 10.5, and there has been some money on the tab for the 10.5 start on the Roosters because people are deeming that the Roosters can somehow win this game or at least keep it close. Let's start with some matchups I want to talk about, kicking off with the number ones. Ryan Papenhuyzen. What version of Ryan Papenhuyzen do we see in this game against what we both said, arguably the form fullback of the competition, in James Tedesco?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough match for Pappy. Be a lot of high bombs into that corner, trying to get him coming off his right foot. You know what I mean? He's going to get a lot of collision. I know that. There'll be a lot of he'll be targeted because their back five's good. So you want to kick it to Pappy, right?
So would you prefer to kick it up in the middle to Pappy rather than kick into those big tall wingers?
On the numbers line. In that pocket there, in the 10-metre area.
Remember how you talked about Dom Young a couple of weeks ago with regards to Penrith? Do you want to see them do anything like that, kick into a corner and get into these big wingers for Melbourne Storm?
But I just think that they'll want Pappy first, all right? So they'll be able to, because Warbrick runs back with some vigour, right?
So does Coates.
And so, I didn't even mention Coates. You're talking about Coates 6'4", 105 kilo, wants contact.
They're freaks.
Oh, yuck. So who do you want to take it to? So then you either kick it to Pappy, try and get him, move him, and then the winger's got to come back around, right? Because you're not really worried about who's their centres.
Nick Meaney and Jack Helworth.
So you're not really worried about those guys play 2 or 3.
Yeah, they're going to be stock standard.
So if you want to kick it to Warbrick or Coates, cop that first hit, and then Pappy might be on your second. On that second wave, you could really get into him. And you don't really worry about the centres on those sides, right?
Can you ever remember seeing Pappy just get manhandled?
No, he's so good because he fucking runs the spaces, not faces. But I don't know what Pappy's coming back. He's had a lot of lower leg injuries, man. So that's that power where he shows when he's on top of his game. He barely gets ragdoll because he's so good at finding space and he's strong deceptively strong.
Yep.
But that would be the game plan, right? Start your sets off good.
Yeah, you've got to have some sort of game plan.
Got to have a
going
game
into the
plan. You
back
can't just fucking kick it and then kick chase. You've
I
got to
think-
kick it to corners. Who do you want coming out of play 2 and play 3? You sort of want, you want Nick Meaney on play 2 or 3.
Okay, pick one.
Fuck.
If you pick your poison, you want to kick to one corner and get us Coates or Warbrick taking play 2. Who are you picking?
I don't give a shit, really. I'd probably rather tackle Coates.
Well, here you go. I'll flip it on the other side. Who do you want to tackle for the Roosters coming in play 2? From the wingers, Dom Young and
Probably
Daniel
Tupou. If Dom Young plays direct, he's probably way harder to tackle.
But you just said against
know.
Penrith that you haven't seen it from him.
I haven't seen it, but
So
have you
you'd wanna
seen?
kick
But
him?
have you seen him run direct? He's fucking hard to hit. And I
Yeah.
think he's starting to get a grip of the whole. What happens in prelims and finals? I saw a couple of things.
Oh, you see some good signs from
I
him?
see a couple of things, yeah. And I said,
Okay.
when he runs straight, he's the most dangerous, man, because he is a big body who's big, strong, and fast.
Yep.
And Toops, you're going to get with Toops.
Yeah.
Strong, good leg speed, good bumpers. Fucking Joey Manu. You know what I mean? It's a hard back five. When they're on,
So Toops is over there with Swali'i.
and Suoli, come on, man. It's yuck.
Yeah,
So if they can get that double prong sort of shape like all the time, not double prong, just coming out, bang, attacking your middles, they can get on some momentum, and they're all predicated on that. The back five needs to step up for the Roosters. Teddy's going to be doing Teddy things. I'm just worried about Dom Young.
Here you go. I want to kick to Dom Young for a couple of reasons if I'm the Melbourne Storm. I want Dom Young. If I'm the Melbourne Storm, I want to see if Dom Young can do it in yardage coming out. And also, I'd prefer Joseph Manu to be taking place 2 and 3, so therefore he's gassed for good ball a lot more than what he'd be if Joseph Swali'i is taking place 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
I agree.
I feel like Swali'i has a better play 2, play 3 carry as well.
He wants you to. He wants to take
Straight-
you on, man.
yeah.
You know what I mean. So their back five is probably the best when they're all running and they're on fire. That's the best back five in the game.
Looked unstoppable on
It's
the
the best back five in the game. Then their back rolls can fall into shape. The middles can get into good shape. Hargraves and that play 3 or 4 because they've made those
It
meters.
is the best back five in the
They've
game,
made
mate.
those meters, but they need to make
Yeah.
the meters. And what's Melbourne so good at? Just nullifying something.
Yeah.
Like they mightn't get you middles or whatever, but their whole game might be predicated on stop them out of yardage.
Yeah.
I want 25 meters for the first 6 sets.
They'll have a clear plan for this. They'll
You know
have
what
a
I
clear
know what
plan.
they're like. I know what they're like,
Yeah.
and they're going to try and shut that down because then if you shut the back five down, then you shut the back rolls down, and then you shut the middle down. They're going to have to get back quicker, and then they play the long game because they're fit, strong, fast, methodical, and that's why they're so hard to beat. That's why the Roosters haven't beat them in 5 years. Have you ever been into have you ever played a team that you haven't beat for what, more than a year? 5 years, man.
5 years. So I don't think they've beaten Penrith in 5 years. I think they beat Melbourne in 2021 or 2.
Why did they say 5 years?
Because in 5 years they've only won one game. So in
One game in 21.
one game in 21 against Melbourne and Penrith.
So let's
So
sucks
that
anyway.
one game I believe was in like 2022 or something.
Okay, that's still a long time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going the fucking Roosters. Can't wait. It's fucking coming. Just think if I talk like that, I'm like, it sort of makes sense.
Grit your teeth and say
Fuck,
Roosters.
you just gotta you get it done, man. And
Bite down on the mouth
just
guard.
that last 5-10% that you need will be that Joey Manu last game, Kiri last game, Hargraves last game. It's the last dance. That's it. We've got to get it done. If not, it's gonna suck on Mad Monday.
Cameron Munster and Jerome Hughes versus Luke Keary and Sandon Smith.
Oh, fuck. Jerome Hughes and Munster.
Of course,
Jesus,
right?
they're the best 2 halves in the game. They're up there. It's Luai and Cleary and these two.
yeah.
And that's I can't even pick that. Maybe that's going to be the grand final. We'll have to pick it next week. But that is Jerome Hughes is on fire, bro.
Have you seen Victor
is-
Radley come out, I think the next day or after, and did an interview, and he said, he basically, I'm paraphrasing him here, but we need to go after Big Nelson, and Jared's going to take it personal and go after Big Nelson.
What do you do? Just say if Melbourne kick off or who wins the toss, Melbourne wins it, do you kick off and you kick straight to Hargraves and you just line up Big Nas right opposite him? And what does J-Dub do? Does he go at him because that ain't Kohler?
No.
That's a 130 kilo, 125 kilo, 6'6" fucking monster who can hit anyone. There's no one in the NRL who runs direct at Nas, and if Nas lowers his fucking shoulder, lowers the boom and hits you, you're done.
The question is, let's answer the first. I'm receiving. I'm not giving Jared the opportunity to start this game.
I'm kicking it to
I'm
Jared.
I'm taking
kicking
it
it
away
to
from
Jared. Yeah. Because they want to set a tone.
Yeah.
And I just think if Melbourne does that and they kick it to his way and you line up Nas and you got Sean Blaw there and you got like whoever else, Josh King, that's going to be nasty.
What about getting the ball in Nelson's hands off a kickoff and letting him fucking set the tone as well?
Yeah, well, it's going to go either way, right? I just think what do you do? Okay, what do you do if you're the Roosters? Then?
Yeah.
And you win it. Do you want to set the tone, or do you want your bull, the fucking OG in your team?
I want to receive as well.
Yeah.
I want to receive the ball.
So it's a little tactic there because it's a mental thing. Because bodies are going to go flying in that first contact.
Yeah.
So, wow, it's a win-win for us because we get to see a collision, right? But damn, those nerves before the game because you know it's coming. I've been in that position before. You know it's coming.
Is that the best carry of the game?
No, it's solid. You don't know where it's coming from. And it's like, because back in that day, like it could be coming from really out wide because there was no rule. You could shoulder charge and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
The best way to hit off a kickoff is just shoulder charge.
Yeah.
So like
So
if you
that's gone now, though.
Yeah, so if you kicked it straight, nearly on the numbers line, had Nas on the opposite numbers line.
Yep.
And so J-Dub has to run not as tight to the sideline, a little bit open space. Oh my God, they come from everywhere because he ain't passing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
When
do.
they kick,
Yeah.
it's just like you've got 3 or 4 this side, and
You've got no
six,
support.
You got 6 that side, and they're coming from everywhere. That's why front row was getting paid over $1 million.
Yeah.
Gets me excited, but it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah. Fuck, that's so. I can't wait. I can't wait for that.
Or do you
first carry.
kick it deep into that corner, right? And then because J Dub's going to be over this way. I mean, Nas is going to be over this way. He needs to align himself over those numbers line.
Yeah.
So it's up to the kicker.
Yeah.
Don't kick it shallow. Kick it on the 10 meters.
I'd kick short.
Kick it on the 10 meters high. So when it catches on, you're catching on collision. Boom, boom. Oh, yuck.
It's going to be awesome. Harry Grant through the middle, Connor Watson, Josh King,
Oh,
Lindsay
it's going to be a great
Collins.
game.
Big boys, that's where you do your best work. The matchup I'm looking forward to the most. Angus Crichton has now gone against in consecutive weeks. Liam Martin, week 1. Homoli Olakawatu, week 2. Ali Katoa, week 3. And if they are to proceed and go into the grand final, he's got to see Liam Martin
Do you know
again.
who handled him the best? Eli Katoa the last time.
Angus Crichton did.
Yeah. No, Eli Katoa handled Angus.
Crichton. Yeah, they did a really good job last
He's a
week.
good defender, man. And there was a lot of one-on-ones there. So I don't think Ellie's going into that game going, oh, it's Angus Crichton, the best back row in the game. I'm one of the best back rows in the game. You better account for me.
We just agreed, right? These two guys are the best.
Yeah, they are. But I'm saying, I remember
that.
that last little battle they had. Granted, I said I'll give him one more chance because
Harry
they're coming out of Harry granted, but they were coming out of Origin, so I'm not really counting that game. This is the one, the
Yeah.
prelim. Remember, I told you, I said that's
right.
done.
The Roosters
But
had just come out.
Ellie. He took that personal and he played really well. They all did, but I think this is a different time. Obviously, prelim, everything in.
Sean Blaw, Tupanua,
Love it.
Liero, Radley.
Love it.
Love
Fuck.
it. All right, let's
Dude,
get
Lindsay Collins needs a big game. I need an Origin effort, Lindsay Collins.
Okay.
He's got to help his band.
He's going head to head with Josh King.
Got to go against it, mate. I want to see him flying out of the line. He's got it in him.
Yeah.
He was good last week.
Yeah, he was.
He was really good. He's got it in him. 6'5", 115, ripped, fit. Like there's nothing that can phase him.
The bench. Maybe he started too many games, but if you talk about impact, Tyron Wishart, fuck. He must have been a shout.
Yeah, I think he did start too many games.
Yeah, maybe started, but he would have
It'd be nearly half and half.
He would have got it for sure if he'd played a certain amount of games for sure because he was outstanding this year. Tyron Wishart, Welsh, Tui Kamakamitha, Alec McDonald, just typical
Big.
Melbourne Storm
Fucking
player.
goes hard, eh?
Terrell Maid, Nat Butcher, Nafua White, Spencer Lee.
Damn. There's no edge there. Spencer's probably the edge. Spencer can destroy you.
It's two different styles of packs.
Kamakamitha, not that quickest, like footwork and everything. Like just a big body in the middle, does all the little things. Welsh the same. You're not going to destroy your line, but he's going to give good minutes, good leadership, hits good, wrestles good. They all do those little things really well, right? Where you got Terrell May, got a bit of footy in him. Spencer's just a fucking wrecking ball. Nat Butcher can play anywhere, big minutes. I'm going Roosters. Tick for the bench.
tick for the bench. There's no versatility in that Roosters bench for me. I think Melbourne, if anything
Who's
was to go wrong,
who's the one on the bench?
there's no
There's no one.
there's no swingman. It's Lenu, Niful White, Nat Butcher. Probably
That's what I'm saying. There's no plan B for a head knock.
If something happens, they can move Nat Butcher into the back row, Satili Tupanua out to the centre.
Robbo's not dumb.
Yeah, that's their backup plan. But I reckon having Tyron Wishart in particular, if anything was to go crazy,
it's the
worst case
luxury of
scenario.
having that, right?
Yeah.
You know, they had Connor Watson as that guy. Then
Yep.
Brandon Smith goes out, so you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, you got to deal with it. Ooh, I'm on Melbourne, and I am. The 10.5. I think is too much though. I think
Too hard.
I think this is going to be.
It could be classic.
This is going to be a classic.
El Clasico.
El Clasico, Barcelona.
Yeah, and Real.
Real Madrid.
This is El Clasico. Just change it. Change it to El Clasico with Benicio El Toro Horo.
Do we think this one is going to be Barcelona versus Valencia?
Yeah, this is it.
Penrith Panthers versus the Cronulla Sharks.
Oh, you are disrespectful. Sydney FC. That's bad, man.
The Penrith Panthers are $1.22 favourites with our partners at the tab. Cronulla are $4.30. The line is 12.5. The line has been hit. Cronulla haven't scored a point against Penrith in 3 games.
That's good, isn't it? Pumped.
How do they turn that around, mate?
A point? Not a point.
Not a point in 3 games.
Oh, that is a beast of a team, right? Oh, what do you do, man? You
Goes
just got to
back
go
3
out there,
years.
just go as hard as you can, Cronulla. Don't leave any stone unturned. They've got a big forward pack. They've got a monstrous fucking back line. They're aggressive. They can do everything they can, right? And they can get an upset. They can. I just don't think they will.
Yeah.
Because Penrith are Penrith, and they just do Penrith shit. And it's so methodical, and they have a game plan. They stick to it. It's just very hard. I can't figure out a way to beat Penrith. Still.
Yeah. So not even Cronulla. Like you're trying to figure out.
I'm trying to figure out a way you're going to get
beat them.
Is the middles going to play a little bit of footy? No, they just work hard from the middle. They work hard. Leota, Fish, Yowie, Mitch Kenny. They just fucking chop from the inside. They work hard at marker. The detail to their defensive system is the best I've seen ever. It's crazy.
I'll give you. I'm looking at the back 5 right now. When you look at the back 5,
That's their only weakness when you compare it to the Roosters or someone.
as good as the Penrith Panthers are, and we talked about down years, Sione Katoa, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Kale Iro, and Jesse Ramians have to have 10 out of 10 for their
10 out of
middles.
10s.
They have to. Or
Yep.
2 of them have to have 10 out of 10. I'll tell you where they're going, the Penrith Panthers. They're going straight at Sione Katoa.
Yeah.
He dropped the ball again on the weekend, and that game where
That edge.
the game where they pumped him at Cronulla Park at the start of the year, they put it up to him 2 or 3 occasions. Sione's going to get a lot of traffic.
Big floaters the first couple, and then they'll just rely.
That's
they're
Nathan.
They're going on. They're going to go left. I think Nico Hines is going to get a lot of traffic. He did some things last week in the video that they'll be looking at coming out of the line, sort of like just trying to spook the guys out the back instead of checking his lead and then going out the back. Right? You don't do that and try and solve it yourself. Right? So Penrith are great at exploiting that. They'll have Garner hitting those mad holes. They'll have Edwards out the back. They'll have a lot of sweet plays. Yowie hitting the front guy if Nico's going to do that. Getting early ball to Luai playing short to Garner. If Nico jams in, go out the back. They've got to shut Luai down. They need to shut Yowie down. The amount of inside pressure that those big boys need to do on Penrith, it'll fatigue the shit out of them.
You're
and that's where they're
fatiguing
gonna
me
get you.
now talking
Yeah,
about
no. And I know exactly how they're going to work it because they know they want Kafusi to work hard. They want Toby Rudolph to work hard. Their back row are fit as hell, but their middles aren't. You want Royce Hunt on there for more than 10 minutes. They'll blow your middle out. They're just so fit and nasty, and they'll just consistently just kick it to Katoa, try and get you guys coming out of that ugly edge. Will Kennedy's going to get it. Everyone's going to rely on Ramian that runs across field a fair bit. You know what I mean? Like they're picking him up. Then the middles have got to get back and do your work. McInnes, he's going to be working his ass off. Nikora, Teague.
We talked about the back 5. What about the halves? Braden Trindle and Nico. They've got to have 10s as well.
10s?
In what world?
How do you play a 10 against Penrith?
What style do you play? Because I am like you. I've got
I don't know what to do.
I've got a game plan for Penrith against Cronulla. I've got a game plan for the Roosters against Melbourne. Melbourne against Roosters. I can't figure out a game plan for Cronulla. I just can't.
You can't just go bang bang. I'll hit on the edges trying to get Alamotti or Tungo or someone like that. You can't get there. because they work so hard from the inside. You're not going to get there on other than just like shift and early ball. So who? They're just going to come up and shove. Like you can't get your one-on-ones. You got to get your one-on-ones.
Teams have had a good job attacking Penrith's right edge this year between Tungo and Nathan. But I don't know. I don't think you can do that consistently. I think
Teague is a decent back rower, but you got Liam Martin who's going to just go at you non-stop. What I saw 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure he's had a bit of a break now, and you're just fucking caging this animal, and he's going to go at him just like he's a young kid. Bang. I'm here all day.
I think it's Isaiah's 200th as well.
Yeah, they don't fucking miss anything. It's just this. It's a yuck thing for Cronulla because, like going. I think Cronulla would rather play Melbourne. I think they got a better chance. They've upset them. When they go to Penrith, you try and game plan this.
Respectfully, I think every team would prefer to play Melbourne than Penrith where they are.
Because as I'm trying to speak this out and just go, how would I beat them? You just got to go through the front door.
Yeah, have to.
And then try and pull them out and offloads and make it ugly.
Yeah.
Make it ugly and strike when you can because they've got strike players. Play off the back of Nico and Braden Trindle, Will Kennedy. Just play footy. Don't go into the structured, let's go kick for kick with Penrith because they're going to bury you.
Remember when
they're the best at it?
Remember when Manly last year just went willy-nilly kicking on fucking first and second tackles and shit?
Wild shit, man.
They actually got to a point where they had the lead and then they should have probably pulled it back and then try to grind that game out after. But you kind of have to chance your arm.
Yeah, you can't.
I think offload footy, I think you're going to have to second phase.
Yep.
But also it just started pissing down with rain here in Sydney. I think conditions suit Penrith even more now.
Because you have to play footy against Penrith. You got to have to like the block plays and the out the back, well-oiled machine straight out. And if it is slippery, who's the best at picking you up, holding you on your feet? Penrith.
Man.
The whole inside just comes back. They train like that. It's methodical and it's not a fluke.
I'm looking at this Penrith middle now with Moses Leota, Mitch Kenny and James Fisher-Harris
It's the best.
They're not losing this game.
No, we're going for 4.
They're not, like, respectfully to where Toby Rudolph, Brayley and Kafusi are at, those three are not losing that.
No, they're not. And they know the amount of effort that they put in when they front load and what the difference is when they do that. Because they have to take care of that other team because that other team are looking at them going, I need to get over the top of these guys. Otherwise, we got no chance, right? And Fisher and Leota are like, bring it. Mitch Kenny, just that little sleeping dog who's just like fucking really, he's like a little staffy. Fucking, just locks on, fuck off. And you got those 2 big dogs just protecting him. And then you got Yowie just doing Yowie things. Liam Martin, Garner. Yuck, come on.
Garner,
miracle, bro.
Garner versus Britton Nikita. Britton, that's the one part of the pack where I think you got to give Britton a chance, but Luke Garner's pretty solid.
You just got to, and you're never going to get those. It's going to be one-on-one sometimes, but it's usually like 2-on-1 all the time because Luai's going to be working his ass off from the inside. So when Nicker runs those outside in lines, Luai's there, and if he steps about, like if he goes back around to the ruck, who you running into? Middles are always hips forward, tracking inside hips, and then you just get dealt with.
You know how in like
Very
basketball and
hard to
NFL
beat.
you can bet on like stats? Here's a stat. Here's a stat
Can
for
you bet on this?
No, I don't think you can. Oh, maybe you can. Actually, I haven't looked at it. Responsibly, of course. We'll get to that. Blake Brayley and Cam McInnes are going to make 50 tackles each.
More. Yeah. 50 plus.
I think
someone could get into the 60s tonight.
I think Cam McInnes nearly broke the record
night.
against Penrith a couple of years ago.
70 something?
Last year, yeah, something crazy.
He's going to come off busted.
Because you talk about moving their middles around.
Yeah.
Isaiah Yeo's going to move their
don't
middles
stop,
around.
bro.
Fisher Harris. And
He'll be third man
Leota.
in about 40 times trying to collect legs.
Yeah.
Or one-on-ones, Brayley as well. Like, they're all just going to have to 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10s, everyone.
Yeah. Just on McInnes, right? I was watching McInnes in the presser after. McInnes is obviously a dog, right? He's a tough guy.
Proper dog.
Do you reckon, like, how do I not say this disrespectfully? Do you reckon he's got soft skin?
Someone said...
Do you reckon he's got soft skin? He's always cut.
Did you hear what Fletch said?
No.
He's got leprosy.
What's leprosy?
So his skin's like real thin and just like it just fucking rubs off.
Oh, yeah, okay. So what?
It's wrong. It's a wrong take.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
He's just taking the piss, right?
Okay, I'm not. I was thinking about this watching the press.
Might have soft skin.
He has to
moisturise.
Because I know he's tough, but Mitch Kenny puts himself They make exactly the same amount of tackles, and Mitch Kenny's the fucking toughest cunt ever, like Cam McInnes, same as Breakboat. Or is he?
I think what happens.
Does he have bad technique?
What happens is he never lets he's never got time to heal.
What's leprosy? No one will look up leprosy.
It's fucking terrible. It's just terrible take from Fletcher. It was awful.
Okay, so it's just a gig.
Yeah, it was a gig. He goes, you got leprosy. So leprosy was back in like 100 years ago. Your skin would just fucking, your legs would fall off.
Yeah.
Fucking awful.
Okay.
Anyway, I think he's never given time to heal. So he'd be cut here, next week play again. Cut here, next week play, and then just compounds and compounds and compounds. So he never gets to
scrapes himself. Luke, he's going.
He never gets time to heal.
Yeah.
Like, there's some years where he hasn't been split. This year he's been split 10 times. And how do you get
every game?
It would have been a year or two that we didn't get split in his first couple of years. And he just puts his head where people wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So he's just a tough bastard.
And I think that's my next point. I think he's too tough for his own good. Yeah. I think he throws his head sometimes at positions that he shouldn't. Bad technique.
Doesn't care.
You'd love to play with him, right? And that's why I was trying to word it right, because I didn't want to.
No. He's a proper dog, but he just does not care. He has no care for his body.
Brad Snyder, Lindsay Smith. I love Liam Henry, Matt Eisenhuth, Tom Hazelton, Royce Hunt, Jack Williams, Sifa Talakai.
Cronulla's got a better bench.
Yeah, I agreed.
How do you utilise it, but how many? You got to get Dolph to get 25, 30 minutes out to put Royce Hunt on. The big Hazelton. Does he need 15 before half time? Get their big bodies on. They're just the technique and how they tackle Penrith. They love big boys.
Yeah.
So they're not phased about big bodies. Kaufusi, Dolph, Hazelton, Royce Hunt. They're not worried at all.
Yeah. All right, we'll finish it up anyway. I think this bench has to fucking do everything they can in the 15 to 20 minutes that Fisher Harris and Leota are off.
Front load big time.
They have to. I reckon they'll get Hazelton and Sifa Talakai in particular, Royce Hunt as well.
Yeah.
When they come on, they've got to realise that respectfully to where these guys are right now, Lindsay Smith, Liam Henry and Eisenhuth, you have to take advantage why Fisher Harris and
wait for them to come off, put Hazelton and put Royce Hunt on for 15 to go, and just go as hard as you can through the middle. That's it. That's your game plan, Fitzy.
Yeah. There you go. Easy.
Done. Score 6 tries while they're off, and then just hold on.
Do we see a world in which Daniel Atkinson, the 18th man, is somewhere on the bench? They've got too many middles.
I don't know. I mean, I would get him. I just don't think he trusts their middles to get out massive minutes.
See, I
would put him on the bench, Atkinson.
Yeah.
Just to cover.
Royce Hunt?
No, I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. Because Jack Williams goes good. He can play everywhere.
Jack Williams has to be on the bench. I reckon Sifa Talakai gives him cover in the backs as well. I think it's Royce Hunt that misses out.
Yeah, well, when you look at it like that, I'm not putting Atkinson on. I forgot about.
Okay.
Fuck. But I just know someone's going to get knocked out.
Someone is going to get knocked out. All right. Just want to give everyone a heads up that our Levels Punters Club Bets for Friends special for this week is Penrith 13 plus. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think Cronulla are going to score a point in 4 games.
Bad.
And Nathan Cleary to score in the first 6 minutes. You can get a price of that for $6 only from the traders from us at Levels Punters Club with a max bet of $25. Mace, remember, what are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Enjoy these preliminary finals.
I'll be down in Melbourne.
It all starts tomorrow. You'll be down in Melbourne for the AFL Grand Final. You might as well go sneak in and go watch Roosters versus
I love watching those games on TV, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back on Monday.